All right, guys, it's that time. It is the wholesaling hour. My name is Rick Ginn, and you are on the Flip with Rick channel. And today is really cool. We're going to talk obviously all about wholesaling, but we are going to get down and dirty on government list. Not only am I going to show you the absolute best must-to list you have to pull, I'm going to show you where to pull them. I'm going to tell you how to ask for them, and I'm going to give you the mantra, the cheat sheet on how to actually get progress and get the list that you actually want. It's actually easier than you think, but most of you give up way too easily. And for that reason, today we are going to go all in it. So once again, my name is Rick Ginn, and today it's all about government lists. So if you guys are new to this channel, we are all about wholesaling. I'm not going to talk about anything else. If you want to learn more how to do this, go over to free wholesaling. I got wholesaling behind me, freewholesaling.com. That's where me and my son have created a free course, and you can find out everything you want to know here. So use the comment sections, introduce yourself. I'm going to dive in. Let's jump into government list. And at the end of it, we will connect with you guys. We can do one-on-ones and all sorts of fun stuff. So let's just jump right into it. And you might think this is boring, guys, but I'm telling you, real wholesaling is not like this super sexy sport where it's like all glitz and glamours. The real money in wholesaling is made when you get into the data, you find the information of the most highly motivated list, and then you reach out and you have the guts to talk to these people and actually get these lists. That's where the real money is made. So many people think they can contact realtors and I could just do JV deals. At some point, you are going to have to go through a deep grind hustle season. All wholesalers have gone through it. It might just be 1 or 2 years you go through it, but that's where you learn everything in the business. And what I'm about to teach you now is if you don't get this fundamental down, you are going to suffer in wholesaling because in the beginning, you don't have the experience, you don't have a lot of leads, and you don't really know how to close people. So we have to increase your odds to the absolute maximum peak. And it is not working with realtors. It is not JVing with people. It's going directly to the seller. So here's a little requirement I have in wholesaling. If you're just starting out, especially if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have experience, number one, you have to go direct to seller, period. End of story. There is no middleman. A middleman is going to cost you a fortune. Number two, they have to be off-market properties. On-market property means you have competition and you are not the only one that knows about it. And that is going to create a level to find the person that will pay the most. We are just trying to help solve a problem. Number three, there has to be some form of motivation. And the word motivation is getting beyond abused these days. People are like, I'm looking for people that will actually, I don't care about their motivation. You do. I'm sorry. Listen, the more motivated they are, the better chances of you getting a better wholesale deal. End of story. I have never had someone go, here, just take this property. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I've had people give me perfect properties, but their motivation was, I don't want any hassles. I just want to move my life. I don't trust realtors. That's motivation, guys. And people who say it's not motivation is absolutely nuts to me. So let's dive into the government list. And I'm going to walk you through from A to Z on it. So first I have to talk about government list. And it is a government-derived list, either court-appointed or city or county-appointed lead that indicates a seller's possible motivation. Now, you know how our government works. Almost everything they do is a train wreck, in my opinion, but that's just it. So when they put people on these lists, it's hard to get off these lists, and you have to go through these ridiculous protocols to get off these lists. Don't worry, I'm going to go through every one of these lists in grave detail. If you're asking me which list, if you want to learn more how to do it, just go over to freewholesaling.com. I go into deep granular detail to teach you how to do this. But the bottom line is these are lists that are derived from government. And once you get on this radar screen, it's tough for sellers to get off. And if they don't get off, they get financial liens imposed against them on the property on a daily basis. I've seen one yard cut code violation turn into a $30,000 lien. Absolutely ridiculous. But once again, you have your government agencies running these, and whenever they try to manage anything in mass, it usually winds up being a nightmare. Now, This list, sorry about my run-on sentence there. Well, let me fix it because even that drives me nuts. And this is my ADHD just kicking in completely, but we'll fix it. No big deal. Government lists are free, but please don't think for a second that free means it's easy. It's actually kind of the opposite. So a lot of people are like, oh, it's free, it can't be good. Number one, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Okay. You, you can go work out for free in your house, outdoors at a park, and you can get just as jacked and ripped as if you want with your own body weight. Just a lot of people don't value it because it's not free. They want to go pay a trainer and get the whole, I don't know, LA Fitness type of thing. You can have whatever you want. When it comes to lists, just because they're free, don't let that fool you into thinking like they're really bad. It's actually the opposite. They are absolutely the best, most highly motivated list. The challenge is your government is running the list. And if you guys ever dealt with any type of government agencies at the county, city level, whatever it is, even federal, it's a freaking nightmare. It just is what it is. It wasn't always this way, but I'm going to teach you how to navigate through it, so don't worry about it. So you've got to understand these lists are basically, wait a minute, where it goes. They're free, but I will tell you, I love when wholesalers go out and get these lists because number one, they listen to me and Zach. And number two, they won't take no for an answer. And it just shows they have the guts to it. Because the reality is when you go after these lists, guess what? Resistance is coming. It's coming hard and it's coming fast. Put in the comments if you know exactly what I'm talking about. So many people think I'm going to go out and request these 5 or 6 government lists, and it's all going to be dandy. And then you guys get shocked when you only get half the list. I never, ever told anybody this was going to be easy. But think about it. If these lists are challenging to get, most people give up after one no. I look at it as I have a huge advantage over most people that request these lists, period. The reality is most people go get these lists and they go, I'm sorry, Mr. Ginn, you can't have that. Okay. No, you can't do that. Yeah, I'm going to teach you actually how to do the complete opposite. You're going to stay there and kill them with sweetness and kindness, and you're going to get what you want. Because you know what? You know what beats resistance? Persistence. If you are a persistence person, I didn't say nagging. I didn't tell you to be a nasty person. I want to use other words, but I'm not going to. But you have got to be extremely persistent. Just because others accept a one-time no doesn't mean you should ever accept it. And honestly, that should go for anything you deal with in life. Stop complying with everybody who tells you what to do. Stop being a sheep and following everybody else. Go out and cut your own path. You are going to get resistance, but if you learn how to be persistent and rephrase the questions, you can easily push through the resistance you get on these lists. Don't worry, I'll walk you through it. If anybody wants to role play it, I'm happy to do it with you. Here's the truth, guys. This is going to hit you hard, so you might want to be sitting down for this next statement. Most wholesalers are just too lazy to pull these government lists. Oh my God. Number one, they're free, so they're going to be crap. And then I got to put up with government employees, and I'm just too big. Do you see this ego? Do you know? My favorite question is when someone goes, do you know who I am? No, I don't know who you are. I don't really care. Like, honestly, I don't give people credit for their ego. So a lot of wholesalers want to take their ego and cash it in at these government offices, and they have no clout, they have no credibility, and nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares how flashy you are on the internet. Nobody cares about your Lambo, and we definitely don't care about the house you live in and the fancy car you drive. They don't care. So you have to lose your ego when you go to get these lists, but this statement is so true. If you guys go to any type of wholesaler meetup, I don't care where it is. I don't care if you go to an event in Orlando. I don't care if you go to one in Tucson. I don't care. You go to Phoenix, you go to Tampa, you can go to Fort Lauderdale, Miami. If you're not talking about government lists and you're talking about wholesaling, you are not at a wholesaling event. You are at probably a pitch fest or just a regular real estate investing event. And honestly, wholesaling is completely different than just real estate investing. In my opinion, it is the highest skill set you can get in this business, period. Once you have the skill sets of a wholesaler, you can do any other task in real estate investing. Try to flip it around. Try to take a realtor or a rehabber or like a note buying guy and have them do wholesaling. It is a 100% failure ratio because they don't have the mindset. They don't have the guts to do what we do. And for that reasons, you have to understand it. And that leads me to my next one. Gurus avoid all government lists. They think they're below them. They can't really make money off of them. You can't get a subscription service from it. They can't get an affiliate. And for that reason, they don't promote it. Guys, listen, I recommend PropStream. I recommend Batch. I do Launch. I do all sorts of stuff. Why? Because they're great products and we use them in our business. But am I going to avoid telling you about a free method to find the most highly motivated sellers when I've done over 20 years of personally chasing these people myself? If I didn't tell you, I'd be doing you a massive disservice. The reason the gurus do not recommend government list or go out of their way or just glaze over it, because they can't make immediate money off of it. And for that reason, I call them all out on it. I think it's ridiculous. When you're starting out wholesaling, you need to attack these lists like it's your last breath of air. Why? Because they're going to give you the best odds for it. Did I say it's going to be easy? No. Are you going to have to work for it? Absolutely. But when you get a deal, it's going to help you get past all your inexperience, your lack of information. You can get through this. You're just trying to help people. So in wholesaling, we always learn the skill of marketing first, because if you can't connect with motivated sellers, you don't have to learn the rest of the business. It won't work. So let's dive into the list and let's take them down one by one. And I love this. It says, I got that yesterday. Do you know who I am? Listen, if anybody ever starts out with, do you know who I am? Translation is, my ego is so big. And if you don't know who I am, you are a pedestal, you are a stepping stone to me, and I don't want to deal with you. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. Listen, there's not many people I look up to in this life, meaning you have to be humble in life and you have to get through it. It's absolutely ridiculous when people say, do you know who I am? Or listen, you have to earn it every day. You got to earn respect. Just because say you did a monster deal or you helped out a lot, that's great. What have you done today to help people out? Every day I do a deal, I get one, I start off the next day, I am broke. Why? Because I have to remind myself every day where I came from, because I'm not going to get complacent and wind up and back in my old personality. My old personality sucked. It made me broke and it made bad decisions in my life. And if you want to change stuff like that, you're in the right place. So let's keep going. It's going to be fun. We're going to walk through all of them. So we talked about, oh, wait a minute. Let me take that off. Okay. It's a good comment though. And guys, keep asking your questions. I promise I'll get to them. So here's what we have to do. How do we ask for these government lists, and where the heck do we go to get them? Because that's what everybody wants to know. So this whole live stream is recorded. So if you're watching it live or you miss it, you can come back and refer to it. If you want to know in grave detail on how to get all these lists and detail ask for, and go to freewholesaling.com. It's a free course there. We teach you not only do your first deal, but how to make your first 100K in wholesaling. And we'll go into it. But let's just walk you through it. I'll spoon feed it on you. If you got any questions, we'll answer them. Number one, how to ask for them. Okay. So let's talk first on how to ask for them, and then I'll show you where to go. And this is kind of the easiest one. I'm giving you a script. You guys know I hate scripts because I think to have conversations, you have to have key points ready to go. But if I'm walking in, they go, Mr. Ginn, why do you want this list? I go, listen, I'm just a regular tax-paying citizen or student. I'm telling you guys, if you're young, use the student. It gives you a free pass every time. Somebody's always working at a government counter and they have a kid in college, they got a kid in high school, or they got a kid in middle school doing some sort of research project. And once they go, oh my God, it's a student doing his research project, they usually will roll over for you. But if you're old like me and you can't pass like that, I just use the following line on your screen here. Listen, I'm a tax-paying student. I'm doing a little independent research from the county records. Can you help me out? That's it. Don't go in and go, I'm a wholesaler and I'm going to flip these properties. I'll make $20,000, $30,000 off them. They're going to judge you instantly and you're never going to get anything from them. Remember, here's the problem you guys are dealing with. You have a gatekeeper of public records. Yes, every record I'm going to show you is technically public, but the challenge you have and why you get resistance is a privacy policy of each department. And it's kind of like an oxymoron. And you guys know anything that intercedes with the government, it doesn't always make sense. So it's public, but it's private. Explain it to me. What I will tell you is I don't want you harassing these people and threatening them because it's not going to get you anywhere. And honestly, they're just employees. They're just doing what their bosses tell them to do. So if you understand that, you have to learn how to use your skill sets, just like when you talk to motivated sellers on how to get things you want. Honestly, guys, this goes for anything you want in life. Anybody who has little kids on this live, you know, kids, the best salespeople I ever met in my life. Like they get what they want. Like, please, mommy, just get it to me. I promise you, I'll never make another peep in my life again. 9 times out of 10, the parent gives it to the child and the cycle repeats. Why? Because you just rewarded the child and now they know how to get whatever they want. You have to take that same childlike curiosity and use it when pulling these government lists. I'm not kidding you. I am dead serious on this. There's like, Rick's ADHD, I don't think his medicine's kicking in. By the way, I don't medicate myself for any of my ADHD because honestly, I don't think there's enough of it. Okay, next one. So let's go through each of the lists. So code violations, hands down, top list. Okay. All these lists are my favorite, but code violations, honestly, it made me who I was in my first 2 years of wholesaling. If I only had to pick one list and I was clueless, I would go straight to code violations. Why? Because this is just a list of properties where people did something not so stupid with their property, but it's just out of character. The purpose of a code violation is to keep the community's values at stable levels. And so your neighbor, they just can't do crazy stuff over there. They can't build monster trucks in the front driveway. They can't put in like exotic landscaping that's so wild that it's like risking the entire neighborhood. So typical code violation is going to be tall grass, which we call landscaping, structural, deferred maintenance, and like mold. Now, how do I look for that? Just look for tall grass. So I'm here in Florida. It's really easy. In the wintertime, you guys are up north, it'd be a little bit different. But I guess you would look for people that didn't even shovel the snow out of their driveway. I don't know how that works. You guys can let me know in the comments. I don't do snow. I don't understand snow. It's just really cold stuff. Next thing, I look for blue tarp roofs. One of my favorite. It's like a sign pointing right here. Go, hey, buy this house. We've got problems. And you know when you put on a blue tarp on the roof, you're usually way into overtime. In fact, most people put a blue tarp on the roof outside of a hurricane, tornado. Those tarps stay on the roof for years to the point where they disintegrate. When I see a disintegrating one, I know we have a major problem and I know I need to help out this homeowner. The other one are boarded up windows when they leave them up forever. And then if you just see like knocked down mailbox, if you see garbage and debris stacked up by the front door, that means nobody's living there. And to me, I get really excited about those properties. So a code violation, basically either a Karen in the neighborhood reports them. I apologize if your name is Karen. I know that's not fair. We'll call him Rick. They report you. I'm telling on my neighbor. And that's one of the biggest offenses. And then basically a code enforcement comes out, takes a picture, tries to talk to the owner. And if not, they put a notice on the door. You got 30 days to fix it. Otherwise, we're going to pose fines, liens, and judgments, yada, yada. So that's it, guys. These lists can be very, very long, very, very long. So basically, where do I go to get the code violations? Very simple. You have to go to the city office. This is usually going to be the building department. This is where you're going to have the city staff, and this is where they're going to issue city building permits. Now, every department's a little bit different, but a lot of times these are located next to like the city hall, or if there's a city police department, they're usually very close together. That will give you a area to start in. As far as what list to ask for, just look for open violations and try to look for like the last 30 days. The fresher the violation, the better off it is. But Honestly, you can do old violations, but a lot of times a violation opens and it gets closed. You don't want to waste your time with those people. So if the loan got high and they cut it 2 weeks later and it's off, kind of a waste of time. So it happens a little bit, especially in the South in the summer, just stuff like that. So let's move to the next one. Anybody got it? If you got any questions on code violations, this would be now the time to drop it. So I'm gonna put one up here. Emerald says we have electrical and plumbing violations. I don't know if those would be worth it. That means someone's doing work probably without a licensed electrician or a plumber, and they're gonna have to fix it anyways. And I don't know if that's enough of a sign to do it. So, okay, let's keep moving on. We got a lot of them to get through. The next one, probates. If you don't know how I feel about probates, just Google Rick and probates, and that's all I got to tell you. I love probates. They are phenomenal. And a probate is just the process when a person passes away to wrap up their financial affairs, to basically transfer any title issues, because a person who's passed away obviously can't sign for it. So usually what they do is have a will, and in that will, they appoint a personal representative, aka PR, and that person is in charge of wrapping up the final affairs. Now, usually real estate winds up being a person's single largest asset. End of story. So it makes sense why we want to work probates. We want to find the most recently open probates in the last 30 days. Next, where do we find probates? This is very, very simple. This is the easiest part of it. You're going to go to your county courthouse, and they have a county probate court. They only deal with probates. There's usually a reception person that files the paperwork and keeps everything going. That is a great person to learn how your probates work in your state. And you should go online and you should research what the probate process is and how it works. There's about 3,200 counties in the United States. Here's the crazy part. Almost every county is different. So I can't give you answers on every one of them. The best thing you want to do is do as much research as you possibly can. How do I do it? Number one, work with your local title company. They know how probates work. Number two, work with your probate court. Don't be like the average guy with a huge ego. I'm not going to ask where's directions. You'll be lost in the middle of the desert. Like, just ask directions. It's easier. Lose your ego. Remember, you have to lose your ego to be successful in wholesaling. Ask for help. They have the roadmap. They know exactly how to get to the documents you want. The question is, are they going to guide you? And are you going to ask the right questions for you to get there? Because keep in mind, here's my favorite part about probates. They have the highest profits. Think about this, guys. Somebody's passed away. God bless them. And when they passed away, the house is typically outdated and the house is customized to take care of an elderly person. And a smart family will take care of the family member and deal with the house later, right? The last thing you want to do is put somebody in their final dying request is put their property through construction. Once they are in heaven or wherever they're going to wind up being is, then they have to figure out how to take care of liquidating the property. And this is where most people go, listen, I just want to sell it as is. Maybe they have an emotional attachment to it. It's hard to walk back in the home where you had a loved one, especially a parent or anything like that. So you can see how people would have challenges with it. And then we provide solutions to them to take care of almost everything. And by the way, most probates I buy it with everything. They're like, can you just deal with everything? I'm like, that's fine. And sometimes I'll give them $1,000 more. It doesn't matter. The stuff inside the house isn't worth anything to me. But if it helps me get a deal, I will throw in like an extra $1,000 or something like that. And then I'll have an auction company just come in and buy it on site. I don't do auctions in the house because they trash the houses when they do auctions. But remember, your main focus is always on the real estate, nothing else. We are not, what's the word? We are not garage sale people. We don't do trade stores. We don't do consignment stores. Guys, that's all stuff that will distract you and waste your time. I don't want you doing that. So I love probates. Here's the challenge with probates. It is challenging getting these lists because everybody wants to hide behind this privacy policy. Sometimes you can get them online, but 9 times out of 10, you got to go in person and pull them. People ask me how often. Depends on how many leads you have. But the reality is get the most fresh, updated information, and that gives you the speed advantage over everybody else. Remember, in the beginning, you don't have the regular skill sets of a wholesaler. So what you have to do is you have to make up, and you got to go find the best leads possible with the highest chance of getting a deal done. And a lot of times these people will overlook some of your inexperiences. They did with me. Why? Because I went straight to where the deals are. I didn't have to sell anything. I just walked them through it. And each deal I got better and better. If I started trying to do this on MLS or just trying to JV with other people, I would have probably failed miserably. This is why I'm so hung up on government lists. I don't make a dime off telling you about government lists, but what I do is I make you successful. And the more wholesalers I can make successful, the better the result, the better the experience for you, and the more you're going to listen. I want to work with the Ginns because they actually told me the truth and showed me how to do this. They didn't hammer me with a course. And that's what I want to teach you. So we got probates and code violations. Please, my God, you have to do these in your businesses. If you're not, you're missing out on an incredible, incredible profit center with the highest motivation, in my opinion. Now, here's the catch with probates. You're not going to get a probate call every minute on the day. Honestly, it's not uncommon to get 1 or 2 phone calls in a month. You're like, are you kidding me? Here's the cool part is it's not hard to do. You simply mail them a letter. We teach you how to do the whole thing at freewholesaling.com. I even give you the template. I can't make it any easier for you. Here's the key is when they call, you have to answer your phone live. Don't be one of these gurus that thinks your ego is so damn big you can't answer the phone live, because do you know who I am? Answer the phone, be a real human, and let them talk to you. And if you can strike a deal, that's great. You got to be patient. Learn more how to do it over at freewholesaling.com. Next one, tax delinquencies. I love tax delinquencies. Let's go into it because honestly, I think this is probably the most misunderstood government list of them all. So let's deep dive a little bit. What do I want in a tax delinquency? Well, you want the average median price to be at the point you want it to be. Do not chase down $1 million homes on the tax delinquency. You're wasting your time. They're not going to be selling you a home. I've got 20 plus years data. You need to stick to your average median price or below of the target market you are wholesaling in. Once you get on those big numbers, those people are just using the tax government system to offset financing, because a lot of them have $50,000, $60,000 tax bills and they'll wait 2 years to pay it based on their own company's cash flow. So average median price at or below. And so you're typically looking under 450. And then basically you want them owning at least 2 years behind in back taxes. One's not the worst, but 2 says we have massive problems. Okay. That's it. Here's the really cool part. Where do I go to get tax delinquency? Very misunderstood. They're going to be at your county offices. It's always at the county level. Real estate property taxes are assessed at the county level. They're not, occasionally there's a couple little townships, but for the most part, it is a county revenue. So it's an expense to us, a revenue to the government, because, you know, the government doesn't make a dime. They only spend our money. The government has never, ever been profitable. And whatever little times they are profitable, they usually do it by accident. They're terrible business people. But county offices, a hint, if you have a DMV, building permits, or a county commissioner's meeting hall, you're in the right spot. So people always ask me, okay, Rick, how often do I pull a tax delinquency? Well, taxes can only be delinquent once a year. Take the hint. Ready? Yearly. Okay, once a year. Now, you need to find out in your county when taxes are due. So in Florida, the first tax bill is due November 1, and you get it mid-October. Actually, I'm expecting a big fat stack of invoices here shortly, and I'm not crazy about this time of year, but I set my money aside for the properties I owe on it. A lot of people that don't pay their property taxes in their mortgage get this big fat bill. And if they're on tough economic times, which a lot of homeowners are right now, inflation's killing everyone. The grocery store's a nightmare. Gas is ridiculous. And you get a $5,000 or $6,000 tax bill. You're like, honey, how are we going to pay it? And like, I don't know, set it in the, we'll figure out how to pay it later aisle. And then that happens to millions and millions of Americans. And after a while, after 3 or 4 months goes by, they wind up on a list of delinquent taxes because they're going to sell what they call a tax certificate. And then basically from that, it will be sold, and then someone else will pay you the taxes and they get an interest rate. I'm not here to get into all of how that happens, but you only got to pull it once a year. So an example in Florida, they're due in November, 4 months later, 4 to 4.5 months later, they wind up on a tax delinquency list, usually in March and April. Actually, April 100%. Once they're on that list, they're target one. I look for people that owe 2 years or more on an average median price, going to be 450 or below. And that's what I target. And you have to sort these lists. You want to make sure you get them in an XLS file, and you got to be super nice to these people. Now, it's not the easiest list to get anymore. The crazy part, it is 100% public information, but how they deal with the privacy policy is the absolute nightmare on these lists. And you got to keep that in mind when you do it. So, okay. Let me keep going here. What else I got? Okay, next one. Water shutoffs. My God. If you guys haven't done the water shutoffs, I'm going to give you the good and bad on it. So first of all, water shutoffs is basically when people stop paying their water bill and they shut the water off. I know it's crazy, but it's a common sense statement. You want to look for people that have non-payment, and you really want to look for the last 30 days. You can go back the last 60 days, and you got to make sure it is the keyword public utility company. Some people call it government utility, but it has to be public. If it's private, they're not going to give you the information because it's a private business. Now, if it's public, it does not guarantee you're going to get that information. Quite the opposite. I find water shops one of the more difficult lists to get, but I just want you to know that you will get resistance on this list, and you're going to have to sweet talk your way through it. And if you can overcome resistance with persistence, you have a great shot at getting it. I have never guaranteed everyone you're going to get all these lists. You never get everything you want in life, but you do get the stuff you go after in life. And if you understand that difference, you can actually function in life. So let's talk about this. Where do we go for the water shutoffs? It's just your local utility company. Honestly, I find the phone call the best, the first, and occasionally you have to go by there in person. These can be difficult employees, but keep in mind, when you're shutting off people's water, people do not get happy. So there's no bulletproof glass or anything like that. It's not like the IRS or the state when they're collecting their taxes. But water shutoffs, think about this, guys. When someone shuts off the water, that house doesn't function anymore. No one's taking showers. No one's washing dishes. There's a lot of stuff you can't do without water. I'm not going to get into the graphic details of it, but it's disgusting. Okay. For that reason, it is one of the single most motivating factors to finding someone who needs to sell a house. Think about this too. Like, well, Rick, what about a landlord if they shut off the water? They shut off the water because they're either getting ready to sell the property, switching over the tenants, or the tenant just stopped paying the water bill. Either way, all three of those case scenarios, I want to be in front of that homeowner and I want to make them an offer. Why? Because it's timing. And if you hit them at the right timing and the right conditions, that's how great wholesale deals get put together. Great wholesale deals, just so you guys understand, great wholesale deals don't perfectly get it ready, get you all these photos, get you the phone number, the seller's information, and put it on the internet and give you a price. That's not wholesaling. And if you're being taught and told that's wholesaling, you are being conditioned as a realtor. That has nothing to do with wholesaling. You actually have to go get all the information yourself. That is the value add tool that we do. We go out and we hustle and we get the information and we beat everybody else to the punch. Realtors sit back and wait till they can get the highest price possible, and then they put it on the MLS and then they just handle phone calls and they sweet talk people. Okay? Realtors do provide a value, but it has nothing to do with wholesaling. Next up, fire damaged properties. God knows I love these. Basically, their properties have been damaged by fire. Like, this is not rocket science, guys. But keep in mind, where do we find fire damaged properties? Actually, this is the simplest one of them all. You simply go to the fire department. Now, a lot of counties, you can have a county fire department and you can have a city fire department. Where I live, we have multiple fire departments, so it's like really cool. And they talk to each other, but they have different policies. I find it just simplest to go to, you don't call on these and you don't deal with, they're not technically government employees, even though they work for the county, but you just need to find the fire marshal, the chief, or whatever it is I know I'm using terrible terminology. If there's a firefighter on here, let me know. And just ask very, very nicely, because these are wonderful people and they do a job that you and me probably could never suck up if we wanted to. Jumping into a burning building to save human lives and pets and babies, unbelievable, and risk their own life. So I need you to be super nice and just simply ask, do you guys keep a list of the most recently fire damaged properties that you were on call? That's it. Super nice. And you can still be persistent, but you can be nice. These are not salespeople. These are not what I consider your regular government employees. A lot of these people that you're talking to are the ones that actually get on the trucks and go out and do the fires. Like, they go out and deal with them. So can you please not run these people over? A lot of them are ex-military. They're really, really smart people. And honestly, we need more of them. So please don't give them a hard time. And they're getting more and more traffic from us. But listen, the bottom line is we're just trying to help people out and trying to get these properties sold. So if you ask super nicely, it should go a long way. But if you don't get it, just wish them the best and everything else, and then go find another fire department. Okay. The next one, arrest records. A lot of people always they send me a message, Rick, the hell do I want to do arrest records for? Listen, the reality is in wholesaling, you're looking for people with problems. When people get arrested, you have major problems. And I'm not talking about your regular jaywalking arresters, your protest arresters. Somebody threw a beer bottle and hit the side of a building, got arrested. I get it. Those people are getting out. For the most part, we are looking for arrest records that, number one, the arrest records is just a set of records. What you're going to do is cross-reference the person that got arrested to see if they own property in that particular county. And here's the most common three that we buy off of: DUIs, battery, and theft. Now, you're thinking like, why is you're looking, the type of arrest records are people that are going away for usually 24 months or longer. Some of them are just 1 year. Now, I know you're thinking like DUI, what the heck's that got to do? I'm not here to like give you like legal, but you get arrested the first time in DUI, you can usually get out and pay a crap load of fines. The second one, you're going to do a short stint of jail time. The third one, you're going away for a long time. So I deal with a lot of people going away 3 to 5 years for multiple offenses of DUIs. And it is by far my most common. The second one is battery. I'm not here to make judgments on people. I just want to buy the property. And then theft. As long as they don't rip me off, it's none of my business. And you have to understand that. So where do you go for the arrest records? That's the easy part. You're not going to get resistance here. They are online, guys. Online. From your city police, or you can do your county sheriff's office. They work. I'm going to be honest with you. You get a lot of drama with them, but I've got some of my best discounts on them. And why not? If you know you're going away for 3 to 4 years, they're going to need cash to survivors. And a lot of these people don't have people they can trust to take care of their houses. It's just why they wound up in this position. So they rather do this deal. I will tell you this, anybody who's under arrest or incarcerated, do not ever do a creative financing deal with them, because when they come out, they're going to take their house back every time. Ask me how I know. I'm just telling you, it never sets in. I don't care what paperwork you sign. So if you buy it, make sure they understand it's a closing and it's all said and done. Now, I have a disclaimer to give you guys because I get a lot of questions on this. And by the way, are there more lists? Yes. I could go all day. The one list I didn't put on here because I could talk all day, but I want to get and jump on lives with you guys. And if you want to jump on a live, get in line now and I'll help you out, is the evictions. You just go down to your county courthouse and the evictions, extremely public. You should get zero resistance, and you have to deal with landlords. Some of them own 1 to 4 properties. Those are my favorite. The people own 100 or more properties on eviction, you're usually wasting your time with them. That's my experience with them. People always ask me about divorce. I hate that list. Divorce is hard on everybody, but whenever they got kids mixed up into it, it's always one person wants to sell it cheap. The other one wants $1 million. And like, you can't force two people that hate each other to make a decision for the common good of the family. It usually doesn't work out that well. I've done divorce ones, but I don't chase the divorce list down because it's painful. There's no other word. Now, here is my disclaimer. Tax certificates, tax deeds, foreclosure auctions is not a wholesaling strategy. Battle me on this. Tax certificates, you have to bid, and you're bidding an interest rate, and you have no ownership in the property. Okay. You're buying a lien. Tax deed, depending on what state's kind of the same thing. And a foreclosure auction, you're bidding. Whoever pays the most wins. Do you really want to be that winner? Guys, when we talk about this stuff, it has nothing to do with wholesaling. Say you go out and buy a tax certificate or a tax deed, tax certificate in particular, all you did was buy a lien. You have no more control. I can go and knock on that door and negotiate with that homeowner and still buy that house. You'll still get your money, but you have no tactical advantage. I don't know why people discuss this. I buy them all the time. People goes, wait a minute. How did you buy that house? I own the tax certificate on it. I go, okay, here's your $2,200. Go have a nice freaking day. You don't have any authority other than the lien that you bought. And somebody taught a strategy. If you own the tax certificate, now you can control the homeowner and actually get them like to give you the house. No. And then worst case scenario, if you never get paid for your tax certificate, you basically file to have the tax certificate to move over, and then you can file for a foreclosure. Guess what? You got to pay for an attorney. You got to file all the foreclosure fees, everything, probably $5-6 grand to get it done. And then guess what? People bid on the house, and you are only going to get paid how much is owed to you. So you get paid your attorney's fees plus your $2,000, maybe $200 in interest, and that's it. Somebody else is still going to buy the house. So you did not cut the line. The only time it works out to you, if nobody bids on it, then you can take the house. But guys, think about this. All these auctions are online. Anybody in the entire world can bid on them. People from China, Europe, anywhere. If it's a good house, it's going to get bid up. The only ones that don't get bought are the properties you can't build on, or they're tiny lots. And that's why the county winds up owning the properties. And that reminds me, when you go to do your tax delinquencies, do not ever reach out to county-owned properties because there's a reason the county owns it, because it's an unsellable piece of land, or nobody absolutely wants it because the cost is way too high to develop it. So, guys, I stand and preach on these tax certificates. Like, I had somebody go to one and they bid it on like 6 properties. I'm like, if you're bidding, you're not wholesaling. Wholesaling has nothing to do with bidding. It's about solving people's problems and getting the best deal possible. So, so Rob's right there. On top of it, when you do tax certificates, any type of auctions, every state has a different redemption. And a right of redemption is like in some states, the homeowner has up to 1 year to buy it back at the whatever amount I guess the court sets it. Could you imagine waiting 1 year to see if someone's going to buy a property back? Now in the state of Florida, they only have 3 days. So it's like pretty black and white because they hold the title back in that for, I guess it's first 72 hours, whatever it is. So like if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. But like, can you imagine waiting a 1 year? So guys, if you want to ask a live question, what I want you to do is if you go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real, and that top link, there's a StreamYard link, and you can jump on there. And that is the best way to do it. So now that we have that, let's see here. I had another question. You see, what am I missing here? Okay. Okay, let's just jump in the lives. Drew, what's going on, man?
Hey, Rick, this is crazy. What's going on? So, real quick, I'm Zero Forever. I'm the one that had the guy that was like, "Do you know who I am?" That was me. That was my comment. That happened yesterday. So
What comment was that?
when he goes, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh yeah.
That was me. Yeah. So real quick,
Don't you hate that comment? It's like
I had to really just, I had to just do it because I really think I got a good. I'm working on this good lead.
yeah.
It's a fire damage. It yesterday, took pictures, did the whole nine. And when you're looking at the graphic in freewholesaling.com where you got the 1,500 square foot and heavy, I didn't want to guess, but I kind of increased that number from 60 to a little bit more because the only thing that is going to be left over is the studs. is the
Okay.
framework, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of assumed, I mean, and I'm also asking is that if it's fire damage, we can kind of increase that number from 60 to say maybe 80 or 100 depending how bad it is, right? I mean, we want to be conservative with our numbers, but at the same time leave enough wiggle room for the assignment fee. Is-
Yeah, and sometimes you can ask the owner, usually when there's a fire,
Yeah.
there's some sort of estimator out there that throws them a number.
Yeah, so
Sometimes they're accurate, sometimes they're not, but like that's always where I start. And then I kind of go, okay, do we need to go up or down depending on the situation?
we got there before the insurance adjusters did. That's how quick we were to figure
Wow.
this
Okay.
out. So my sister was all over because it's in her neighborhood. And then the other question I have here, and I'm gonna pull this up, is in preparation for this, how do you or Zach deal with the contract objections, specifically referring to the marketing clause that you have, or like the lockbox showing clause? If you get resistance there, and I have in the past, what is your best way to counter that?
Well, listen, everything's negotiable. Like sometimes I let people win a battle so I can win the war.
Hmm.
I do this all the time with lawyers.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. Like, so sometimes you ask yourself, some people are very like just they want to change everything or anything to show their validation. That's the
Right.
problem you have with a lawyer. The lawyer looks, listen, the reality, most lawyers look stupid and they go, yeah, that contract's perfect. You don't need me. I've never ever heard that statement. And if I did, it's like, oh my God. So you can have a perfect, the board approved, uh, the bar approved, the board of realtors approves it, and they still want to change the contract. And I'm like, didn't you guys write this contract and you're asking me to change it?
Yeah.
So I always start with our contracts first.
Sure. Yeah.
And remember, you can put whatever you want in the contract. It doesn't
My
you got to pass the snuff test. So when
right.
somebody objects to it, so first you got to identify, is it the homeowner? Because that's the only one I ever really worry about it. With
Yeah,
the
the
lawyer stuff,
homeowner.
I get
Yeah.
through it. And when they ask, so if you have a property that's fire damaged, I assume it's vacant, right?
Yeah, they've already, everything's burnt up. Everything is black. I mean,
Yeah.
90% of the home.
Yeah. I
Like I
mean,
said,
it's
the only
just,
thing left is
but
is the
listen,
studs.
this is going to be a tall order for me to even buy this house. I got to have people coming in and
Right.
out of it, and we have to assess what the real damage is here. And instead of me having to bug you every like 30
Right.
minutes, in my experience, this is just the easiest way to handle it. I'll do whatever you want. Do you want to show up for every meeting?
Right.
Because it's just, I
But
have
what
to
about
do
the
some due
marketing?
diligence.
I can understand that, but what about the part that says like we can advertise it, put it on Zillow, put it on Facebook, put it on
Listen, we swing for the fences and ask for what we can get. But
yeah,
like some people are, not everybody complies with what we want.
right.
And then what you got to do is get to the root cause of like why they're objecting to it.
Oh,
And,
you're gonna make money off of this, and you're gonna I don't. I just
well, that's
you
what I
know
do. But like you have a property that has an issue here. I'm looking to
yeah
buy it.
yeah
I am going to make a profit. I have no idea though.
yeah
And I have to have some room because there's a lot of issues going on here. And I don't know if I'm going to keep it. We're going to fix it up. I've still got
okay.
to get clearance from the city or the county. And there's a lot of stuff to
I,
do. You told me you wanted to get, and I always go back to what is it that they wanted to accomplish when they originally called you? And
right.
because what happens is people start talking in their ears, like, and they start going, you need a realtor or you need a lawyer. And I always go, listen, Patty, remember you called me, you said, listen, if I could get this thing under contract and stop thinking about it and get roughly this number, I think we can do a deal.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to say is
Yeah.
on the way there, it was a 2-hour drive. On the way there, I listened to Go for No on Audible because
Yeah.
that's what he told me to do.
Yeah.
Mind blowing content. Everyone
Isn't
listening
it?
should go and just use their Amazon credit to go listen to that book. It's totally worth it. And completely changed everything. I shot him.
That's how thick the book is.
Yeah, I ran comps 3 times over to make sure I was prepared. I gave him
Yeah.
the LOI, and he didn't even flinch. So, I gave him the lowest number that was fair based off of everything, and he
Yeah.
just was like, "Okay, all right, well, I'll see you in like a week, and we'll figure it out." So that was like crazy for me that I just
So
went
true. If you
slow.
think about it, though, but like every
Yeah,
other wholesaler focuses on the MAO.
right.
And then once you start doing that, you understand like the predicament you get in. So if your MAO is 250 and say
Yeah,
you offer 225, 230,
right.
you're
It's
like,
a
And the minute you offer me that, guess what? I go, well, I'm going to get this guy to 270. Like the numbers move based on it. So if you do that lower anchor number, you can actually snuff out their intention real quick.
Yeah.
Because here's the reality. If somebody wants tippy top dollar and they're lying to you, that go for no offer is going to snuff out and save you a ton of time.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to sit there 2-3 hours. Guys, my first year, I almost killed myself negotiating with people. And someone told me, he goes like, why do you take so long to do it? And so I went and researched, I go, what's the most efficient way to do this? And it's like, go for it. So I actually met the guy who wrote this book. He's like, simplify it, Rick. I go, damn, that's smart. Yep. And I don't even take credit for it. But I noticed that all wholesalers try to get a yes.
Yeah.
If you actually go for a no, you'll do better in wholesaling. And honestly, in the beginning, we don't have the experience. We haven't done enough deals. So most new wholesalers, here's a real red flag. Yeah. You guys overpay for properties.
Yeah.
Because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
And so did it feel weird making that offer?
It was like, so like I ARV'd it at 270, but because it's completely need to be redone, I know it's going to go for 320 in the area based off the neighborhood. It's local. It's got a school, elementary school right across the street, really good property, right? So I know it's going to go for more, but we have to go with what we have, right? And so my LAO came out to like 170 after all that damage, right? And then you said cut it in half, right? So you figure 130 times 2 is, about 260, 270 is my ballpark. So I shot lower instead of feeling bad, letting emotions take over, right? Yeah. I was proud of myself, and my partner's my sister, and I was like, we have to stick with what we talked about pregame, right? And I gave 130. He didn't say no, to be fair, but he didn't say yes. He goes, okay, well, he needs to know what he's going to get from insurance, and then for me to make him whole so he can have a place to live. And I understand that, right? Yeah. So he didn't say no, and I said, I'm willing to work with you, whatever you need. I'm here for you. You know what I mean? Because I am. I mean, we're trying to solve a problem here. But if you didn't say no, well, that's okay. That's fine. Well, at least he knows where I stand. And then when we come back around, the insurance comes back to him, he'll know what he needs, and then we can go from there. But we have a starting point. Is the overarching point I'm trying to make is we didn't start high. We started at 130, which is fair. And I think because the whole thing has to get redone, man. It's like I said, it's going to be nothing but bones. I mean, they're going to have to rip everything out of it.
So is this the same one that's giving you a hard time about the marketing clause?
He hasn't given me a hard time yet. I've experienced that in the past. That's hung me up. So I'm mentally and asking questions and preparing in the event that happens. So
here's what I always do is sometimes you do have to size up your opponent. Sure. But like so if they did that on a fire damaged property, I wouldn't care because the property's already open. Like it's not a big deal, and they know you're gonna be running. That's fine. I'll just remove that clause. Like if you have a smoking deal,
I think it's gonna be smoking, Rick. If I'm being completely
honest.
Listen,
here's the worst case scenario when you have a great deal, and they go, listen, I like it, but my lawyer says I can't do the assignable. Some of you will kill the deal over that. I'm like, no. If you're making a ton of money, just do a double closing.
Double it. Hey, I called the title company when we left. I called Verified. My sister's my JV partner.
Yeah.
So we've already, Rick, I've watched that video, sent it to her 3 times over, wrote notes down. Look,
good Lord.
I am very focused, and I'm obsessed with this. Okay. This is all I think about. I lose sleep over it. Okay. This is all I want to do. And so, I'm sizing on my opponent, like you said. And we have the double close. We have the backup plan. There's that fire damaged cat that Zach talked to about a couple weeks ago, who only does that. We would theoretically, if we couldn't get a buyer, which I don't think we'll have a problem if these numbers are good, we're squared away. I just want to know the only objection, the only thing I see foreseeing in my way is the seller having a problem with. What do you mean you're going to market it? What do you mean you need access to the property? You know what I mean? And so I've dealt with that in the past. It's caused me problems as a baby wholesaler. And so now I'm gung-ho. I don't have a job, if I'm being honest. I lost my job because of the government shutdown, man. This is all I got. So I'm going
listen, we ask for stuff. And if people are going to go through, listen, if someone's selling me something 50 cents on the dollar, I'll pretty much give them whatever they want in that contract. If you know the deal's tight,
nah.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I like if it's tight and then they're going to take away my final strings that I can I'm like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to, guys, listen, we don't make money when we work for free. And you have to size it up. I go, listen, we have a way of doing this. And if it doesn't work, honestly, I could probably remove that clause, but we have to talk about the price.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a slam dunk, and I'll
Yeah,
circle
yeah,
back.
and just do it
You
with
know,
that. So it's just listen, I don't get everything I want on a contract, guys. It doesn't always, but I will tell you, I get a hell of a lot more from off-market properties direct to seller. Try on market with a realtor, you ain't getting crap. Like it's like they act like assignability is the most amazing clause in the world, and if you get it, it's a gift. It's standard where we come from.
Yeah.
So if you understand and you're fishing in the right pond, which you definitely are, we just got to teach you to get this deal, harvest the money, and teach you to repeat it over and over.
That's it.
And then from there, then I teach you how to scale it.
Yeah,
And
that would be for a future live, and I go, okay, I have all this money. Tell me what to do, Rick, please.
I
How
don't
do
know.
I?
But listen, I got at least a dozen guys coming out to my live event on Thursday, Friday. All started just like you. Like, crap, I lost my job or this happened.
Yep.
I'm going to figure this out. And really, really took me and Zach's information to heart and absolutely ran with it. And they were so excited when they got their first deal. And a lot of them said, listen, I want to JV with it. I go, listen, just do it on your own. I need you to put as much money in your pocket. And then they go, okay, I got to figure out how to do it. I go, just keep doing exactly what you do. And we'll do a couple extra things. And then they get the 5 or 6 deals. I go, well, I put 100 grand in my bank account. What's the next step? I go, now we're going to replace a little bit of that hustle with some scalability.
Yep.
And now that you know how to talk to people, we can actually spend money and show you easily how to make 30, 50K every month like clockwork. And if you scale it, you can easily go up to 100K. And I'm just telling you, it doesn't. Everybody wants to go to 100K right off the bat. Do your first deal.
Yep.
Show me you can do 5. And if you can do 5, I know you'll walk through like a brick wall for me. The rest is easy because then you go like, dude, I'm going to listen to what Rick and Zach says because it actually works. The only people who complain are people like the truth. They just don't do the work. And everybody wants to go and find a property online and they don't want to talk to anybody or like they want to make one phone call. That's not wholesaling. It's not. It's like you actually have to work this business. And honestly, I had more heartache in my first 2 years of wholesaling. But honestly, I had such wild epiphany moments. I just couldn't believe when I made like $50,000, $60,000 to put in a bank account. I remember staring at my wife. I'm like, and I was completely uneducated about money, to be brutally honest with you. And I had to go through a long learning curve. So anything we can do to help you accelerate it here
Yes, sir.
is awesome. I use wholesaling as a leverage, a tool to get what I want in life. And I don't know any other vehicle that's better than wholesaling. I tell you, I've been in the business 21 years. So I can confidently say of all these people that teach you how to do day trading, currency trading, Forex, these Amazon stores.
Now this is it.
I'm just telling you, they all get shut down. It's like, honestly, they all like, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, this is the
and
answer.
Here's what they do is they all want to do wholesaling when they think it's hot. If you just go on wholesaling and do it and learn it, and you can do anything else you want. You can collect properties and do that. But like people who get in and out of wholesaling, run.
Yeah.
Run it means they don't know what they're doing. Because I got to tell you, from 2016, 17, really 2015 to 2020, 21, you could have put a monkey in wholesaling. Like people were like, they were just bidding up anything. People were buying properties at retail levels and marking them up 10%. That's not wholesaling. It's pure speculation.
Wow.
And I harvest the money, dude. I took a ton of money during that time, but I was telling you, people don't know how to wholesale anymore. And so now we're going back through the learning pains of the fundamentals of the business. So if you can stay on point, Drew, and keep with the fundamentals and keep doing what I'm saying, there's a reason why I keep this business plan. It's simple. Most gurus and stuff complicate the crap out of this. You have to keep it simple. Find the highest motivation and help people solve problems and be an outside the box thinker. And don't try to act like you're a realtor because it ain't gonna work.
No, I'm this. I've been through the ringer. I've been through the guru. I can't wait. Hopefully one day to tell you my story. I've been through so much stuff, and this is the first time where I can just see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I really feel like if he shoots me, if he says, okay, let's do 130, and I shoot him the purchase and sales agreement, and we move forward, this is going to be like a slam dunk. And
So when you get an answer from him?
So he needs to, I was just there yesterday. He had talked with his wife, and then the insurance company has to give him a number, and they just have to have enough A and B make C so that they're whole and they can have a place to
Okay.
live. And so if the insurance company comes through and gives him enough, it's not going to be on me or my offer to make
Yeah.
it because there's nothing left in the house. There's nothing there. It's gone. It's just all gone.
I know.
So I think the low offer will just be like, it's. I think it's more than he expected. I think he thought less than 100, but I did the formula 3 times from Sunday, man.
Yeah.
It's correct.
Imagine if you didn't use the go for no, you would have paid a lot more, and it would have been stressful when you
Yeah,
went to sell it. Because here's the reality, guy. We don't know what we're going to sell stuff. That's why you have to fight for the deepest discount,
yeah,
because it's a pain in the butt to go back and ask for discounts.
yeah.
So you might as well, even if okay, I'll ask one discount, but when you have to ask for an $80,000 discount because you didn't you were lazy, you're not going to
I
get
told
it.
him I primed him and said this is like $100,000 in damage. That was my prime. It's like
Yeah.
this is a lot. It's a lot of money, like you said earlier. Like this is so 130, and it's going to be a 320 when it's all said and done because everything has to be brand new. Look, I think this is going to be a north of $20,000 wholesale fee. I
Yeah.
really do.
Well, you got it. Okay, keep us updated.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you
And
guys
just
know.
keep doing what you're doing and keep in mind. So I went work on this deal,
Yes, sir.
but you got to be looking down the field like all the other deals that you can work on. Because the one thing is you want it to work out, you're in. But remember, one deal doesn't make or break you as a wholesaler. Yeah, even if you have to learn the art of detachment, because if you become too attached and you will get your heart broken a few times, and you can't let that take you out of the game. You're doing everything you need to do.
I bought a fire damage list for my county. I'm getting ready to cold call all those right now. So.
Awesome.
Take care.
Okay. Get it, Drew. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
See ya. Good stuff, man. You guys just like calling off the list, man. It's the reason it's just not super sexy, and it actually seems kind of boring. And like I get it, but okay. Maj, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
What's going on, man? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
What's
Thanks for
going on
doing
today?
this, Rick, man. I
problem.
appreciate you and Zach doing your thing. Like, I've learned so much over this last year of really
Yes.
getting serious into this. But most of the deals I've done have been creative deals, and I'm realizing that there's no girth there. There's no meat on the bone. So,
Well, listen, I will tell you, I do love creative financing. I think it is amazing, but the problem is, depending on how you do it, it's really hard to just do creative financing unless you have an extraordinary amount of skill set, an extraordinary amount of resources. The
Right.
average person, because guys, I've done it before. You can pull like low equity list. It's almost the opposite of what we teach here. But man, the amount of conversations you have, and like people are just like, the problem with creative financing is it can be a good long-term play, but sometimes you just don't know. And the problem people have in creative financing is if you don't learn how to make money up front, then like, what are you going to do? And so if you work a full-time job and say you had a creative financing education and you go out and you pick up some properties and you lay out like 50 grand, you got to stay at work, and you're gonna have to wait 5 to 10 years to find out how much money you made. And by the way, I've owned a lot of sub-2 properties, subject to, and they don't always work out. Like people don't understand, just buying a creative financing deal does not mean you did good, because anybody will do it. And I find their new threshold is, oh, I bought a creative financing deal. And I always go, how much money did you make? They're like, I don't know. I go, I gave the guy 30 grand. I go, so you gave them 30 grand. How much money you make in a month? Like $200. I go, $200.
Mhm.
I go, what's the exit plan? Well, I'm going to do this and that. I go, okay. I go, so basically you were 30K in the hole, and you're going to figure out how to get it going. And that's my problem. I don't have a problem with it. I find creative financing in my wholesaling. I do not separate it because it complicates the crap out of it. I'll find a referral or something like that. But would you say people are much more educated about how their financing works in their properties and like how to actually sell it now? Because it's so mainstream that the average seller is like, they know if they have a low interest rate on their property. I saw a deal that came across my desk the other day. Somebody's asking for 35% of the value of the home up front to do a creative financing because they got a 3.5% interest rate.
Mhm.
Like, you got to be out of your mind. Like, people are really going to come up with 35% just for a shot at doing creative financing. It's like,
Yeah.
the numbers are kind of getting insane. Here's my problem with it. I love creative financing if it's a special deal. Maybe it's a unique property and like maybe you're in a town or like it's a special Airbnb, but most people have no idea what they're taking over, what they're doing. And there are laws that can get you in a lot of trouble. And I will tell you this, the United States government is working actively now because there's so much pressure on creative financing to find ways to restrict it. Now, you already know most mortgages, you can't really technically just take it over. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like for them to find you in the weeds and stuff like that. So here's my challenges. I don't like when people pitch creative financing to replace wholesaling, because that's a ridiculous argument. And so unless you have thousands of leads and contacts all over the country, the average person will struggle with creative financing. Just because you do a creative financing deal doesn't mean you made money. So in the best world, if the perfect creative financing deal is when I take over a property, I give them some money to make them happy, and there's no repairs done to the house. So maybe I give them $3 to $5,000. They're happy. They're like, Rick, take it over. I'm leaving the country. Leaving the country is my favorite phase in creative financing. And then I find someone that they want to put down $20,000. I'm going to make $500 a month. And then I got a nice exit price somewhere down the road. I love that. And I encourage anybody that can do that. But to make money in all three phases is almost like a white unicorn right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard because here's the challenge. If I take on a creative financing deal, say is subject to, then now the house needs some work. Maybe it needs a roof. You have to fund all this, and buyers are only going to pay so much. So in the perfect world, I teach people wholesaling so you can generate cash today. It is a job. I don't hide it from you. And if a great creative financing opportunity comes, hopefully you have the cash, the resources, and the education to decide if you want to take that deal down. The last thing you want to do is just take a deal down because here's what people go out. This is the best creative financing thing I can find right now here today. The reality is right now, if you went out and I said, listen, you got to find a good piece of real estate to live in the next 30 days, what would you would just go find the best deal on the market, right? It doesn't mean it's the best deal out there. And that's the problem. Wholesalers have to go chase it, and creative financing, you got to sit back and see if they're going to take it. And there's a whole host of problems with insurance and all this other stuff on the back end. I've had multiple notes called due. In 2008, I gave back 6 properties I did on seller finance just because I couldn't make the numbers work. And I met with the lawyer. He goes, you're going to get killed here. You got to give it back because you can't keep making these mortgage payments because you're going to go broke in 10 years. I'm like, oh. So I like to do wholesaling. And then I think everybody should get educated about how all real estate works. But a wholesaler usually finds the deepest discounts. And then when a deal pops up, you're like, oh my God, I've been primed my entire life for this. And one of my favorite deals is how I learned creative financing is I got a probate deal when I was targeting probates. And ready for this? The person passed away. I go, listen, why don't I just take over that mortgage? They're like, okay. They're like, just give us our $8,000 up front. I'm like, okay. Here's the best part is it was a 15-year mortgage and I already paid 9 years into it.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, but I didn't go hunt for it. And I looked at it. It just came through my regular probate deal. So in a perfect world, my suggestion would be to do both. My challenge, and this is my opinion, is when people try to tell you creative financing, you do that so you can skip wholesaling. I don't know if people truly know what they're up against when they make that statement because it's not easy. Listen, wholesaling is not easy. Creative financing is not easy either. The one thing with creative, you got to be exposed to a lot of deals to completely understand all the facets of what you need to do in it. I fully didn't understand creative financing until about 7-8 years into it, but I didn't really pay attention in the beginning, to be fair. So
yeah, and I just been assigning these. I don't hold on to them yet, but I want to do probate. So
Okay.
I'm trying to understand like that whole process because I know there has, from what I've been seeing, and I have access to your course now. I was just going to watch those videos, but since I had you here, I was like, let me talk to Rick.
Yeah. So probates are very, very simple. And honestly, it's a strategy you could do with 2 full-time jobs. So I did, because it's not very taxing. It's not expensive, but it's not like an overwhelming amount of leads. So the average county has 60 to 80 probates in a month.
Okay.
And from that, you get like 1 or 2 leads a month. Like that's, some are higher, some are lower, but like that's it. Here's the difference is You got to answer the phone when they call, and you just got to learn how to talk to people. And you have to be very patient with probate. And if someone is, they go, listen, we want to get the property sold. We don't want to get taken advantage of it, but like, we really just need to let it go because we are like emotionally charged with it. So I get it. If you ever had somebody pass away or you grew up in a childhood home and your one of your parents passed away, it's tough even to walk back into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when my mom passed away, I couldn't walk back in the home. I couldn't. I didn't wholesale it, but I sold it quickly to a cash person and let them rehab it. I couldn't go through it. It hurts. And that's a big part of it. And another time, as a lot of times, is people get stuck with the house that maybe they're out of state. Maybe they've never owned real estate before and it's a real hassle. And I just look for the people that want to sell. Listen, if they want top dollar, I wish them all the best luck in the world. I don't fight people. And that's the problem we have with wholesaling is you're never going to make somebody sell a house. But I will tell you this, when you find somebody in probate says, listen, I want to sell it. I know I just need to get rid of it. There's a lot of things that need to happen with the house. Can you give me a fair deal? And that's when I just spend all the time with the world and I just take the time. I get to know them, 5 to 6 contacts. And then by then I usually know the exact number they want and when they want to get it done. And then that house can actually almost be sold retail because you have all the time in the world in the probate. You can speed up a probate or you can slow it down. And then we teach them. I teach you basically how to give them the key phrase that gives you the advantage over everybody else. Hey, Mr. Seller, did you know you don't have to wait till the probate's over to sell your house? Do you want me to show you how? And that's when I say, let's set an appointment. Let's take a look at it and I'll show you. I don't tell them over the phone because I want to meet them in person and let them know I'm completely different than everybody else. And then I walk you through how to do the rest. It's actually really easy. The hardest part is just the marketing, just like it is in creative financing and everything else we do. But I like them. But my average probate deal's about $36,000 wholesale.
Would you say it'd be the same either on or off market? Because I was looking at on market probates. Are those like not worth it?
They're a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, because so remember, you're going to have to bid, and then listen, if it just comes down to numbers, you will never win in wholesaling, like to a point for the most part, and you've got to understand that. So
okay.
Yeah.
And then there was I was looking at either probates and also stacking the list because I saw Zach do foreclosures and I think it's vacant properties.
Yeah.
That are high equity.
Yeah.
So those ones would be more motivated in a sense because they're in foreclosure. It's vacant, and then opposed to because I'm trying to not have much marketing expense as well.
So the government lists are going to be your best friend when doing this. It's
okay.
Is it a pain in the butt? Yes, but like it's free, guys, and I honestly don't mistake the free part. Like it works. It works. It's just most people don't have the guts to go out and get the list, or like first time they get a no, they walk away. So start with those lists. And listen, the fact that you have a creative financing education is awesome because when it comes up, it won't freak you out. Dude, the amount of creative financing deals I churned down, and I churned it down during the worst market cycle from 2010 to like 13.
Mm-hmm.
You could have bought thousands of properties on owner financing. It was like, it was so insane. Like everybody offered it to you. And I took up a few. I didn't understand what I was doing, and I didn't have a crystal ball what was going to happen. And it just took time. It took me a long time to understand creative financing because you have to go through so many variables and understand how people think, how financing works. And so for that reason, I'm not a big fan of people just starting out in creative financing because it's confusing. There's a lot of things, and a lot of people take unnecessary risk and they find out later like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that, or you can't do that. I think eventually the government's going to be so difficult if the mortgage isn't cashed out when it's sold or something like that. But I love creative financing. I just like, if I sat here and waited for creative financing all day, I would starve, or I would overpay for properties and I don't want to do it. A lot of people go, well, I can pay you what you want. And all of the wholesalers beat you up on the price. I'm like, okay, well, you pay them what we want. How are you going to make money? 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, or like you're going to refinance it. What's your strategy? And most people don't have the wherewithal to do that. And so I don't like them doing it like right off the get-go. And I did. So I did multiple creative financing strategies, and the worst case scenario happened on me. Rents went back 70%. I couldn't cover the cash flow.
You said rents went back?
So in Port St. Lucie, from 2008 to 2010, 2011, rents rolled back 70%. Never, no one said this would never ever happen. I was in shock, and like I didn't. And so the problem wasn't even the rent number. So many properties were available. You had to give away 3 months just to attract somebody into your rental.
Wow.
Now, it was short-lived. It was like a 2-year period, but I learned you have to have a bankroll when you own properties. You have to understand. So I'm a really good wholesaler, and I went on a 10-year journey to figure out how to manage money, how to really buy creative financing strategies. But you have to be prepared, guys. Like nobody ever saw COVID coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like landlords, I went 9 months without getting paid on one of my properties. 9 months is a long time, and you got to prepare. That's why I like wholesaling. Generate cash now, start with the government list. And then once you get like a bankroll, you can scale it as much as you want, or you can use that bankroll to buy creative financing deals because you know how they're structured and you can find the best deals possible.
Gotcha. Last question on that training that you have for government list. You kind of walk us through how to find it on the website.
Yeah, but like I do a lot of lives. We do a lot of stuff on government list, and this is one of the reasons I shot the video today. It's just every county's a little bit different. You just got to understand, okay, what am I looking for? Where am I going? And with Chat GPT and stuff like that, you can find a lot of like you can get a game plan before you even make a phone call. Okay, where am I going to find the tax delinquencies for these counties? And you can kind of Google it and start figuring it out. And once you put 2 and 2 together, you can knock it out of the park. It takes a little time to figure out each department. I almost lost my mind when I first did probates. I'm like, really? I got to go through this much crap to get this? And I learned that obstacle, that difficult part is what made me so successful because everybody else gave up. And if you understand that and you go into it, you will do well with it. I promise you.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to put this into action then, Rick. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. I'll see you
later, man.
Okay. So I had a question here. Michelle asked, Rick, what's the difference between an inheritance online list and an online probate list? One gets to the party earlier than the other one. And guess which one wins? So what I mean by that, an inheritance list is just an old probate list. Once the probate is completed and the court signed off and the lawyer says you're good, you basically wind up on an inheritance list because the property got deeded over to you. Once you do that, you can take it to full market. They get full price. And have I bought deals off the inheritance list? Yes. I think I've bought 2 properties in my entire lifetime. The list sucks. Everybody gets it. They overcharge for it. If you want to beat somebody on an inheritance list, go chase the probate list. Go to your county probate office, court, and go get it yourself. And you don't have to waste time, money, and energy with that crap. So good question, though. I love it. So, okay, guys, I am going to wrap it up because I got to take care of some deals sitting here on my phone, and I got to talk to some employees. So, guys, if you're new to this, go over to freewholesaling.com. Check us out. If you guys want to spend more time with me, I do a Flip with Rick Plus. For those of you in the Flip with Rick Plus, I'll be on in about 5 to 10 minutes. I just got to deal with somebody, and then I'll get to all your questions and help you out. Guys, go back, watch this video. If you want to learn more how to do it, go over to freewholesaling.com. And as usual, if you got value from this, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you smash that like button. I appreciate you guys.